Something felt wrong almost right away. Before the score even mattered, before anyone could settle in, the Patriots made this game uncomfortable. Not loud, not flashy, just tense. You could tell this was not going to be the night Houston expected, and that quiet feeling is usually where playoff trouble starts. New England played like a team that had been here too many times to panic. They slowed the game down, took away easy plays, and forced Houston to think instead of react. No rush to impress, no risky moves, just steady pressure that kept building snap by snap. That kind of football does not grab highlights, but it grabs control. That is what hooked this game early. It was not about talent or hype. It was about who could handle stress when things stopped going smoothly. The Patriots looked comfortable living in that space, and once that became clear, it raised a bigger question that follows this matchup forward. How did so many people miss what New England was still capable of doing? Most of the build-up to this game leaned one way, and it showed. The talk all week was about Houston's rise and how this was their moment. New England was framed as the side character, the team still figuring things out. That story felt clean and easy, which is usually a sign it is missing something important. The problem was that people judged this matchup on excitement instead of habits. The Texans were praised for speed and big plays, while the Patriots were labeled boring and limited. What got ignored was how playoff games often punish teams that need rhythm to feel good, especially when that rhythm is taken away early. Once the game slowed down, those bad reads became obvious. Houston looked surprised by resistance, while New England looked prepared for it. That gap did not come from talent or effort. It came from expectations built on the wrong things, and that misunderstanding set the stage for how the night started to slip away from the Texans. What became clear early is that New England was not trying to win the game the easy way. There was no race for points and no attempt to match Houston's speed. The Patriots came in with a simple idea: make everything hard and see who blinks first. In playoff football, that approach usually tells you who's actually ready. Instead of chasing big moments, New England focused on small wins, short fields, tough third downs, forcing long drives instead of quick strikes. The goal was not to dominate the highlights, but to drain energy and patience. That kind of pressure does not show up right away, but it adds up fast when a team is used to playing loose and fast. This is where the difference in mindset showed. The Patriots looked comfortable playing a slow, heavy game, while the Texans started pressing to make something happen. And once a team starts forcing the issue instead of letting the game come to them, that's usually when control begins to slip. On paper, Houston checked all the boxes coming into this game. They had momentum, confidence, and a roster that looked built for a playoff run. This was not a weak team sneaking into January. The Texans had earned real respect for how fast they finished the season and how quickly they were growing. That is what made this matchup tricky. A lot of people assumed that confidence would carry over once the lights came on. But playoff football has a way of exposing whether that belief is deep or just riding a wave. When things stayed clean, Houston looked fine. The moment resistance showed up, everything became a little harder than expected. Meanwhile, the Patriots never seemed surprised by the moment. They played like they expected pushback and welcomed it. That contrast mattered, because once the game stopped being smooth, it shifted toward the team that was more comfortable dealing with friction instead of speed. The shift in this game did not start with a big play on offense. It started with how New England's defense showed up. From the early snaps, they hit harder, closed space faster, and made every throw feel contested. Nothing came easy, and that tone stayed consistent as the game moved along. Houston tried to settle in, but every drive felt heavier than the last. Short gains turned into long third downs. Clean pockets disappeared quicker than expected. The Patriots' defense stayed disciplined and patient, never overreaching, just waiting for mistakes to show themselves. That steady pressure changed the feel of the night. The Texans stopped playing free, while the Patriots grew more comfortable controlling the pace. And once a defense takes that kind of command, the rest of the game usually follows its lead. The moment control turned into panic came through mistakes. One turnover did not break Houston, but it planted doubt. The next one made that doubt louder. Suddenly, every snap carried pressure, and that's when playoff games start slipping away. What made it worse was how those mistakes stacked up. A short field here, a sudden swing there, and the Texans were no longer dictating anything. They were reacting. Each giveaway gave New England more confidence and took a little more air out of Houston's sideline. This is where the gap really showed. The Patriots stayed calm and took what was handed to them, while the Texans started pressing to get it all back at once. And once panic replaces patience, the game usually decides itself. As the pressure kept building, the spotlight shifted to how Houston handled it at quarterback. This was no longer a clean game with easy reads. The pocket collapsed faster, windows closed sooner, and every decision had to be made a step quicker than usual. That's where discomfort starts to show. C.J. Stroud looked forced into a style he didn't want to play. Instead of staying patient, he had to rush throws and move before routes fully developed. The Patriots didn't need to gamble or blitz wildly. They trusted their coverage and let the stress do the work for them. That contrast mattered. While the Patriots stayed within themselves, the Texans started searching for answers that weren't there. When a quarterback feels that squeeze and can't reset, the entire offense tightens up, and that's exactly where this game kept drifting. The conditions did not decide this game, but they made everything louder. Cold air, tight grips, and slower footing took away comfort. When games turn like that, there's no hiding. Every mistake stands out, and every delay feels heavier than it should. New England handled it like routine work. They shortened the game, leaned on control, and stayed clean with the basics. Nothing fancy, just smart choices and steady execution that kept stress low, even when the environment got rough. Houston felt the opposite. Timing slipped, focus dipped, and frustration showed up in small ways. When weather strips the game down, it rewards teams that are patient and punishes teams that need flow. By this point, it was clear which side was built to survive that kind of night. On the other side, New England did not ask their quarterback to carry the night. Drake Maye didn't light up the box score, and he didn't need to. The focus was simple: protect the ball, stay calm, and let the game come to him. There were moments that looked shaky, a few plays felt rushed, a couple of decisions showed his inexperience, but none of it turned into a disaster, and that was the key. He avoided the one mistake that could flip the game back in Houston's favor. That restraint mattered more than big throws. While the Texans kept trying to force momentum, New England stayed patient. The quarterback did his job by not creating new problems, and in a game shaped by pressure and mistakes, that quiet approach kept New England moving forward. What made this approach work was the trust New England showed in the bigger plan. They weren't chasing points or trying to end the game early. They focused on field position, time, and forcing Houston to keep answering tough questions on every drive. Instead of opening things up, the Patriots stayed disciplined. Short passes, safe choices, and smart pacing kept the pressure on the Texans. Every minute that came off the clock without a mistake made the hole feel deeper for Houston, even if the score stayed close. That patience created separation without noise. While one team tried to speed the game up to escape trouble, the other slowed it down and stayed in control. By choosing control over flash, New England quietly made the smarter decision, and it kept the balance tilted their way. By the fourth quarter, the game started to feel familiar in a way that Houston didn't like. This was not about one matchup or one mistake anymore. It was about New England slowly taking away options and forcing the Texans to play a style they weren't built for. This is the version of the Patriots people remember from past playoff runs. Strong defense, smart choices, and an ability to stay calm while the other team grows frustrated. They didn't rush to finish the job. They let the pressure do it for them. That's why this win felt bigger than one night. It looked like an identity returning, not a random performance. When a team wins like this, it sends a message around the league that they know exactly who they are and how they want to beat you. What comes next is where this win really starts to matter. New England is no longer just another team on the bracket. After a game like this, every opponent has to prepare for a slow, physical fight that tests patience more than talent. This style travels, and that's the problem. You can't game plan it away easily, and you can't rely on one hot stretch to beat it. Teams in the AFC now know that playing the Patriots means dealing with pressure, discipline, and very little room for error. Coaches hate preparing for this kind of opponent. You can't rely on one matchup or one burst of speed. You have to win dozens of small moments, and that's exhausting over 4 quarters. Most teams aren't built to live in that space for long. That's why this win travels beyond one round. It forces future opponents to ask hard questions.